Okay, we'll call this special council meeting to order at 6 o'clock. This is a special council meeting, basically with an in-camera session to discuss property matter. So I need the Councillor Smale to give the motion for approval of the agenda.
Thank you. Moved by myself, seconded by Deputy Mayor Taylor, that municipal council approves the agenda as approves the agenda. Totally adding words. You said it.
As
I don't know.
presented.
I don't think so. That'll read too fast.
Those in favor, please signal. Motion is carried. And are there any disclosure of pecuniary interest here this evening?
None here.
None here.
I
Right.
have two for the next meeting, but not this one.
Okay, and so then I'm at item four, there are two, well, first of all, motion to go into closed session, Councillor Barrett.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councilor Morel, that municipal council proceeds into closed session at 6:01 p.m. in order to address a matter pertaining to a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land for municipal or local board purposes, specifically Benson and minutes of closed session dated January 23rd, 2018.
Okay, it's the motion to go into closed session, and those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried, so we're going to go into closed session in the rear room because there'll be people coming in before we finish. And then I'll order at 6:55. I'd like to welcome everyone here. I'll just apologize first of all for running a little bit long in the closed session, although our Public Works Environmental Services meeting is not scheduled to start until 7. So I think we'll see how things go. So just to report out from the closed session, the council met with our legal representatives in the closed session to discuss basically an offer to purchase the Benson School. The hierarchy of the methods in which school boards dispose of schools require that we're sort of third on the hierarchy or second on the hierarchy, and the deadline for us to file our offer to purchase and still remain in that hierarchy, if I can put it that way, is today at midnight. And once and if we submit that offer to purchase, which will depend on the vote that's going to come up here in a minute, then that sort of triggers a 30-day period where we enter into discussions with the school board, although I think that in view of the meeting that we've had with legal counsel today, there's relatively little to be discussed in that 30-day period, but nevertheless it's part of the process. So I'm going to, there are two items coming out of the closed session. The first is a motion to approve the minutes of the closed session which the council held on January the 23rd, and the second is a motion to discuss submitting the offer to the Upper Canada District School Board. So, dealing with the first item, specifically the minutes of the closed session dated January 23rd. Councillor Morel, I believe you have that motion.
I do. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Barrett, that municipal council approves the minutes of the closed session dated January 23rd, 2018.
Okay, the motion is on the table. Discussion, if any? Hearing none, those in favor? Minutes of the closed session are approved. All right, now the second item coming out of the closed session is the Benson School matter, and I think, Councillor Morel, you have that one as well?
Yes, moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Barrett, that municipal council authorizes the mayor and CAO clerk to submit an offer to purchase 4005 James Street, Benson Public School, to the Upper Canada District School Board as directed by municipal council.
Okay, so that's the motion that's on the table right now. Discussion, if any? Okay, hearing. Okay, Councillor Barrett.
So, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to request a recorded vote when you call the question, but I'd just like to say that I'm not, I don't support the motion. I believe it's unfortunate the timing that the recommendation has been given to council with the decision to be made with less than 6 hours to the deadline, but there's still more information available, and the municipality will have the opportunity to purchase the property on the open market if they don't take their first right today. So for that reason, I can't support the motion.
Other speakers? Other speakers? Okay, I'm about to call the question. Councillor Barrett has asked for a recorded vote, so I'll call the vote in the order in which it appears on the sheet. So Councillor Barrett?
Nay.
Councillor Morel?
Yay.
Councillor Smale?
Nay.
Deputy Mayor Taylor?
Yay.
And I'll vote yea, and the motion is carried. The motion will be submitted by, the offer to purchase rather be submitted by midnight tonight to meet the deadline. Now, Deputy Mayor Taylor points out to me that I missed a motion here.
No, you read it.
We just
Oh, right.
submitted it to
That's
you.
just the paperwork.
We didn't
got.
pass it to you.
Oh, okay,
Nay.
all right, so I see what's happening here. My apologies here, lost in my paperwork. So, now we need the confirmatory bylaw to end the special meeting of council. Who has the confirmatory bylaw? It looks like Councillor Barrett.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councilor Morel, that the mover be granted leave to introduce a bylaw to adopt, confirm, and ratify matters dealt with by resolution, and this shall constitute first and second reading thereof.
Thank you very much. Those in favor?
I have a question. So before you
Oh,
vote the
sorry,
question.
go ahead.
So, just a procedural question. If the procedural bylaw, or if this motion fails to pass, does the offer to purchase proceed if it hasn't been enacted through bylaw?
Interesting question. I'll have to turn to the clerk.
And it seems that we have our solicitor here. Does the resolution carry enough weight for this offer to purchase to be submitted, even if you
Well,
don't confirm it by bylaw?
Your, what does your procedural bylaw say about acquiring property?
The question is more related to what our procedural bylaw says about adoption of bylaws. In our procedural bylaw, first and second reading of a bylaw, if it is not carried unanimously, cannot proceed to third and final.
No, but your procedural bylaw, does it require that the purchase of property be approved by bylaw?
No. No, but typically, the municipal act requires that municipal council act by bylaw.
No, bylaw or resolution, they only have to act by bylaw where the municipal act expressly says bylaw. And all rules relating to the acquisition of lands were removed from the new municipal act in 2003, but you were required to pass your own procedural bylaw for the acquisition or disposition of lands and to stick to it.
Do we have the copy of that?
So our procedural bylaw is going to rule here tonight.
Yeah.
Procedure bylaw doesn't speak to sale of land specifically, it's our sale of land disposition,
Of property.
property bylaw. If,
Acquisition, though?
yeah, let me get that bylaw, we don't have it here in front of us, if we can take a few minutes?
Yes,
Okay.
well, yeah, so
Excuse me?
just take a short break here while the clerk digs out the procedural bylaw. So run that by me again. By the way, just if I can just interject one thing here. This business of passing these, what do we call them, confirmation bylaws at the end of every meeting. Do most municipal councils pass those confirmatory bylaws so that all actions taken during the meeting have the status of a bylaw? Because that's all they do, is they say all motions and resolutions passed here tonight have the status of a bylaw.
I'm not very often present at the end of a meeting. But that is news to me,
Oh.
because bylaws, normally bylaws are only passed for subjects that the municipal act requires a bylaw. Otherwise, it's done by resolution. So if you pass a bylaw at the end of this meeting, excuse me, confirming all acts at the meeting, you give that bylaw a number?
Yes, we do.
Do we?
Yes, we do.
Yeah. That's a good question. I think anybody relying, in any situation, if section, I'll just make one up, 300 of the municipal act required that anything done in this section be approved by bylaw, a person relying on it would expect a specific bylaw and would not be content with a general confirming bylaw. And I think I might read a general confirming bylaw as just saying that the process of the meeting was confirmed. I still think that each individual item that required a bylaw should have a bylaw. But there's not too many of those. Most of those relate to rates and financial matters, appointment of officers. They don't, like they used to, relate to a myriad of other things that didn't particularly make sense. As they added powers to the municipal act, sometimes they said bylaw, sometimes they said bylaw resolution, sometimes they said resolution, sometimes they said nothing. And that was basically all cleaned up. And things, generally speaking, that require enforcement are done by bylaws. So municipality may pass bylaws controlling the use of animals, or the keeping of animals, or this sort of thing. I've never gone to court, but it wasn't done by bylaw.
Right.
So,
Well-
anyway, I don't have my municipal act with me, unfortunately.
Well, our procedural bylaw puts the confirmation bylaw on the agenda, but I haven't found anything else.
I'm talking about the procedural bylaw for the acquisition or sale of land specific.
Yeah, as it addresses itself to that issue, that specific issue, if it does.
Yeah, I don't believe there is anything in the procedural bylaw that specifically speaks to acquisition. In fact, our land policy only deals with sale of land, not acquisition. So there is nothing specific to the acquisition of land. The procedural bylaw, however, and I think this is Councillor Barrett's point, does specify that bylaws have to be read in first and second, and first and second must carry unanimously before third and final can be given. So, the issue is, does the council's resolution still hold, even if the confirmation bylaw does not pass?
No, it does not pass unanimously.
If it doesn't pass unanimously on first and second, it can't go to third.
No, but the point, that's not the point. Well, it's the confirmatory bylaw that's up for discussion here right now. So if I call the question on the confirmatory bylaw, which I'm about to do, and I'm calling the question on first and second reading, I get the impression from Councillor Barrett that it will not pass unanimously. The issue is whether or not the previous motion to submit the offer is still a valid resolution of council. It does not have bylaw status, but the legal advice that we're getting is that it may not require bylaw status.
So the other question too is, what is the purpose of it? Is it confirming that what we did in the meeting becomes or is it confirming that the meeting was
The confirmatory bylaws, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Alt, the confirmatory bylaw concept, if I can put it that way, the way I've heard it explained to me at the various in training sessions that I've attended, the confirmatory bylaw is intended to provide an extra, I'm going to put it this way, cover, so that things that were done during the meeting have, if necessary, bylaw status. They may or may not require it, but the confirmatory bylaw is there in case they do. Now, I'm going to rule, if this motion fails, I'm going to rule that this particular motion did not require bylaw status. And I'll stick by that ruling as the chair, and the offer will be submitted tonight. And if I'm wrong, and I'll be subject to legal chastisement by the appropriate people. So that's the way we're gonna proceed here right now. Okay,
I'll request a recorded vote.
okay, so we're having a recorded vote on the first and second readings of the confirmatory bylaw. Okay, so, Counselor Barrett,
Nay.
Counselor Morel,
Yay.
Counselor Smale,
Nay.
Deputy Mayor Taylor,
Yay.
and I will vote yea. So that motion is carried, although not unanimously. And so it won't proceed to third reading. But nevertheless, the bylaw, the confirmatory bylaw has passed first and second reading. Acting on the advice of the legal counsel that we have with us tonight, the chair will rule that the previous motion did not require bylaw status, and it survives as a motion and a resolution of council, although it survives as a result of a 3-2 vote.
I didn't say that it would survive.
I'm saying that,
Oh, okay.
as the chair,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm saying that.
I don't know whether or not a resolution is sufficient to acquire land when you do not have a procedural bylaw
That covers it,
that covers it. And
Fair enough.
I don't have the act with me, I'd have to look at, it may well,
okay.
it may well.
And we're gonna proceed on that assumption,
It may not.
and it may not. And I'm sure I'll hear about it if I've ruled wrong. And maybe if you would just give me some direction here, if I'm ruled out of order on this,
Then the offer to purchase is just simply invalid.
right, so we will submit it, subject to the chair being corrected, and if necessary, the offer will be
And
not be valid.
What you would do then, if it's determined that it's not proper, then you just simply write the school board and say that the offer's withdrawn, which you can do any time before, what's the date, before you turn on April? Yeah, but still null and void.
Yeah, it's null and void, but not, we wouldn't be revoking it, we would just be telling the school board that the offer was null and void.
The offer did not have proper authority.
Right, okay,
and
fair enough.
not to rely on it.
Okay, just
No.
1 second, please.
Guess we should soon figure that out.
We have a copy of the act, we can probably repeat
But
it.
we need to do more.
I'll deal with that later. Okay, where are we here? I need a motion to adjourn this special meeting, so we can start our public works meeting, that's what I need now. Where's the motion to adjourn this meeting? Looks like Councilor Smale has
Well,
it.
you have it now.
Isn't that,
Yeah, I think you missed it. Closed session. I only have closed session.
that was closed session? What was one's in?
This is just regular council.
Yeah, oh, is it? It's not this one?
The municipal council did now adjourn.
That's the one we need.
Oh, this
to-
is, that doesn't say special meeting? Okay, moved by myself, seconded by Deputy Mayor Taylor, that municipal council does now adjourn at 7:12 p.m. There you go, sorry about that.
Those in favor of the motion, please signify. Motion is carried, thank you.
You're in charge.
Okay,